Alright you guys, so I'm going to quickly show you how to print your Laura print at home PDF pattern. If you guys don't already know, I came out with a PDF pattern that's a t-shirt / dress, and it's very cute. If you guys haven't checked it out, I'll definitely leave that in the description bar below. But that's the pattern that we're going to be printing out today. So like I said, just make sure you have your file open. You're going to want to choose the 1001 Laura print at home file. You also want to make sure that you have Adobe Acrobat Reader. So this is just a free PDF opening program that is available to anybody around the world, and it's just going to ensure that you open your PDF pattern correctly. Make sure you have Adobe Acrobat Reader downloaded on your computer. Once you open it, it's going to look similar to this, what I have here. So on the upper left hand side, you'll notice this layers icon. So one of the features that I have on my PDF patterns is you're able to select the specific size or sizes that you want to print. So you'll notice here I have all my sizes selected. So right now I unselected the size medium, and you'll notice here the size medium disappeared. Let me go ahead and just uncheck the size small as well. You'll notice that one disappears. So like I said, this is just if you want to select specific sizes. Say that you want to grade between a size large and an extra large, you only want those sizes selected. Print as many or as little sizes that you want, or you can just go ahead and leave them all selected. I know not all independent pattern companies have this, but I do really appreciate it when they offer that feature. So this is where you'll select that from. Okay, so now for the printing, you just want to click this print icon on the upper left hand corner, and you're going to have a dialog box come up, and just make sure you have your printer selected up here. So you want to print all the pages, so make sure all is selected here. And then moving down to the page sizing and handling, you want to make sure that you have it set on custom scale at 100%. If you have this at 90% or 80%, anything other than 100, your pattern is not going to be printed out at the correct size, which means the garment that you make from it is going to be the incorrect size. So make sure that you have the custom scale set to 100%. And then on the orientation, you want to make sure that it's selected on auto portrait / landscape. So those are the two things that you want to make sure that you have selected whenever you're going to print your pattern. As long as you do those two things, your pattern should print out correctly. If you want to test and make sure that your pattern is printing out correctly, go ahead and print just page 1. So here on pages, just go ahead and type in 1, and that'll print only page 1. Once you do that, you just want to measure this test square here and make sure that it's measuring correctly. If your square is measuring correctly, then go ahead and print the rest of your pages, and then we'll go ahead and jump into showing you how to assemble your PDF pattern. Okay, so I promised you guys that I would show you how to print and assemble your PDF pattern. So I've already showed you how to print your Laura print at home PDF pattern. So that's what I have here. I have all 24 pages. To test to make sure that your pattern printed out at the correct scale, all you want to do is take a ruler and go ahead and measure this test square. This is page 1 of the pattern, and you just want to measure this test square and just make sure that it's measuring out correctly. So this square should be measuring 2 inches, and it is. So that's how I know that my pattern printed out at the correct scale. If this square was not measuring 2 inches, then you would have to go back to your printer and print out your pattern at the correct size. So make sure that you do print page 1 of your pattern first and measure this test to ensure that you're printing out your pattern correct. So once you've done that, the only other tools that you need are a tape dispenser or just tape. And also you're going to need some sort of paper scissors. So don't use your fabric scissors on paper. So make sure you have scissors specifically for paper, and make sure you have tape handy. And of course your Laura print at home PDF pattern. Okay, so for this example, I'm just going to grab page 1. So it has a large number in the center of the page that tells you which page you have. So this is page 1. And then I'm going to go ahead and just grab page 2. So you're going to want to just cut along the edge of one of these sides here. So we're going to have to tape these two pieces together, but we need to remove some of this extra page here so that they can line up correctly. So I'm just going to cut one of these. It doesn't matter which side you cut, you just want to cut right along the border line. So I'm just going to show you how to do that here. So just grab your paper scissors, and you want to cut right along the border here. Just cut right along the black border. And like I said, you just want to do that on one of the pages. So once you do that, you don't need this excess paper anymore. So you just want to take page 1, and you're going to line it up so that it's even with the corresponding number here. So this side has 1A, and this side here in the triangle, it also has 1A. So that's another way that you can tell that you're taping the pages correctly. So like I said, just take the page here and line it up as evenly as possible. So just go ahead and line this up right next to each other, and you're just going to take some tape and you're going to tape it down. And you want to go ahead and just make sure that you're taping it very well across. These two are connected together now. And you're really just going to continue the process until you have your entire pattern set up. But I'm going to show you that again. So I'm just going to take page 3 now. And like I said, we can't tape these together because of this excess. So you just want to cut off against this excess. And it doesn't matter which page you're taping it off from, as long as you're only cutting one of the sides. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut very close again like I did on page 1. I'm going to cut right next to this line here. So I'm just going to take page 2 now, and I'm going to tape it right next to page 3, just like we did before. And then I'm just going to tape it down. So now you'll see that our pattern is coming together, and you can just get rid of the extra paper because we don't need that. And you're really just going to continue this process over and over until you have your entire pattern. So you're going to do that to all 24 pages of your PDF pattern. So on this specific pattern, the Laura pattern, I have 3 rows of 8. So this is going to continue on to complete 8 pages, and then we're going to move on to the next row. So I'll go ahead and just keep recording me assembling this pattern. That way you can just get a better visual. So you'll just get a better visual of how we tape it up. But like I said, it's a very easy process. Okay, so now we're moving on to the second row. Like I said, on this specific pattern, the Laura pattern, I have 3 rows of 8. So we already did the first row. So now we're going to move on to the second row. So before I was just cutting each side of one sheet at a time, which is perfect. You can totally do that. So a quicker and easier way of cutting each side of the page is to just grab all the pages in that row. So like I said, I have 3 rows of 8, and I'm just going to move the rest of them to the side. This is just one row right here. I have my 8 pages. So you can just have them stacked up like this, and you can cut all at once. That way you don't have to cut each side at a time. And like I said, you're only going to want to cut one side of the pattern. So I usually just cut the right side. So just have all your pages stacked up together, and you're just going to cut across the line. This is just a quicker and easier way. You can definitely do just page by page, but if you want the process to go a little bit faster, then you can just stack them up like I'm doing here and just cut across one side of the pages. And that's just going to make the process go a little bit faster. So again, once you get to the second row, you're also going to have to cut off the excess on the top. You're either going to cut the bottom of these pages or the top of these. So since we already have these handy, we're just going to go ahead and cut the top of these. And I still have them all stacked up together. So then we're going to repeat the process just like we did on the first row. But now we have to make sure that the top is even with the pages as well. So working right here on the corner, I'm just going to make sure that I have my numbers matching up. Make sure I have the same number here as I have here. And that's just going to ensure that you're taping the pages together correctly. But you can usually just get a really good feel of if you're assembling the pattern correctly or not, depending on whether your patterns are lining up or not. So like I said, you're just going to continue this process over and over until you have your entire pattern taped together. So then now all you want to do is just cut out around your specific sizes, whatever size you determined from our sizing chart. So once you guys cut out your pattern pieces, then we can go ahead and get into the sewing.